Okay, so I'm just going to talk through how you look at the athlete's feet and maybe manage a blister or two. So Katrina's come in with her foot today. The first thing you want to do is make sure it's nice and clean, so you can ask them to try and wash them as best they can. Obviously in the environment we're in it can be slightly difficult. We try and keep the tarpons as clean as possible, but obviously it's tricky, no shoes on the tarp sort of rule we try to hold. So once they've come over, they're pretty good at telling you exactly what's going on and what's wrong. There may be really obvious blisters that are poking out, but there may actually be deep ones and ones that aren't quite so obvious. So you can ask the athlete themselves if they have any particular hot points or points of friction, and ask them what they'd like you to manage. So have you got any?
Yeah, today I've got this blister just at my heel here.
Yeah, okay, fine. So your feet are nice and clean at the moment, and there's no obvious blister sticking out.
No.
If there was, then you might consider popping it. You might speak with some other colleagues. If it's deep, then obviously you don't want to go poking anything in, because out here everything can get infected and infections are high risk. So you tend to leave things alone. We generally use something called fleecy web, so it's just a little layer of fleece that we use to pop on, and it just removes some of the friction from under the tape and on the skin. Just today for the camera, because it doesn't show up very well, we're going to use just some basic tape. So try and get the best position as possible to see the foot. You might ask the athlete to lie on their front.
Do you want me to lie on my front?
No, you're fine for now. So make sure it's nice and clean. Make sure the foot's in a good position, because they need to be able to fully move their foot throughout. Make sure you know where you're putting it, and then apply as small as possible bit of fleece. Obviously we're not using that today. And then you want to make sure it's nice and smooth, so there's no creases anywhere. If there are, then you can just snip them off, or you might have to redress it. You might have to have a couple of goes at doing it, and some of the parts of the foot are slightly more difficult. So once the bit of fleece is on, stick it down, and you can use some tape like this. You want to cut a length that you think is right, so you might measure it first. So most commonly you can go round. Tape generally sticks best to tape, so if you can get it to overlap, then that's good. Sticking it to the skin, it doesn't stay on quite so well. So once you've got your length, you just cut it as you would. Then again, just make sure, so there's got a little bit of stretch in it as well, which is always helpful. So everyone has different techniques, but you can start generally where the blister or the hot spot is, and make sure you've got a good grip on there. Make sure the foot's kind of in a neutral position, and then move it round and over the front. So that's actually slightly long because I've stretched it, so you can just snip it down to size, like so. And then again, just stretch it out over onto the other bit of tape you've got. And the most important thing is that it's nice and smooth, because every ruckle can cause another blister on the next day of running. Just move your foot for me, that's lovely. And just make sure it's nice and smooth around. You might need to do some proximal or distal kind of fixing, so you might want to put another band here, you might want to put one higher up. And you can ask the athlete about any tendons or any strain they have, and look at support pieces. But that's a basic dressing there.
Yeah, it's good, comfortable.
Yeah, get rid of any creases. Obviously try and keep everything as clean as possible. Got the sharp spoon for needles. That's that.